Salute to all the Patreon members. I want to thank you guys for your support. Test. All right. My bad. Let me do that over again because I didn't see the audio showing up on the screen. Salute to all the Patreon members, all the subscribers. I want to thank you guys for your support. It really means a lot to me. Right now, I'm overseas. I actually have my computer in my hotel. I don't feel like putting it together. I just feel like recording from the bed. And there's a lot of parts I got to put together in order to set it up on the desk and everything. I just don't feel like putting it together right now. I don't know why. Normally I like having a picture on the screen of the thumbnail, right? Thumbnail is women walking together in Vancouver. And then on the other side is women walking together in Panama. So usually that's what I set up my computer for. I don't have my mixer. So my mixer, I will play videos and everything. But if I set up my computer without the mixer, then I'm playing videos with no audio. So I just don't feel like setting up the computer. It's sitting right next to me right now. It's just one of those days I'm relaxed and I'm lazy. So another thing, I don't have the link set up in the description box right now, but after the live stream, I'll have the links for the Patreon page and the Facebook page set up after this post. All right, so look out for that. All right, so hold on. Let me drop the link first, just in case. Since I don't want to put the computer together, let me just drop the link early. All right. I can't believe I haven't made this video yet. All right. I thought I already did. But I thought about it. I'm like, have I made a video of Vancouver women versus Panamanian women? What's the difference? And I was thinking like, no, I haven't. So now the video's about to be made. Get it out the way. I think this is, as far as the versus battle, this is probably one of the better ones that I made ever on this channel. All right. So let's get into it. Panamanian women visiting Panama versus Vancouver. So, salute the nasty time. Yeah. All right. I thought guys might be upset that I don't have a picture on the screen, but I think the information is more important. You know what the title's about. The thumbnail is actually there, but let's get it. All right, so both Panama City, Ciudad de Panama, and Vancouver, Ciudad de Vancouver, or Vancouver, because you cannot pronounce V in Spanish. The V is pronounced as a B. But both Panama City and Vancouver City, Van City as they call it, both of them are active cities, is what I like to call it. All right. Both of them are active cities, but Vancouver's a little bit more active than Panama. Well, Splash, what does active mean? What does an active city mean? Active city means that a lot of people are, a lot of people take their fitness, their image very seriously in both of these cities, but more so in Vancouver. All right. So in Panama, when I was there, I'm not saying I actually saw every nook and cranny of Panama City. All right. There's still a little bit more to explore. But I basically saw, Um, all the major neighborhoods, except for like one or two, I was in Panama City. I was either, I was in even some of these hoods in Panama City also, right? Basically, that strip, Cinco Costera, where all the major hotels are at. You got the Intercontinental, the Hilton on that strip. That strip alone, that's where most people are active, especially at night and on the weekends in the mornings. All right. So at night, you see a lot of people riding their bikes, playing tennis. Uh, you see them rollerblading, right? You see them jogging, men and women. A lot of women are getting it in on the strip of Cinco Costera at night. Across the bridge, you see those cages that normally would be like a basketball court. You got one court, then you got one little soccer cage. Then you got like a volleyball cage, and it's a bunch of men just playing each other. It got to be like 4 or 5 different cages, right? Them hooping, soccer, playing uh, volleyball, right? Then on the major strip of Cinco Costera, you got the tennis courts, right? So you got the basketball courts, soccer courts, volleyball court, tennis courts, people riding their bikes, jogging, making sure they're getting their cardio workout in. All right. That's on that main strip. But it seems like in Vancouver, all around the city, people are, well, I won't say all around every pocket of the city, right? Because you got to think damn, I don't have all my everything. There's like Coquitlam, there's um, Burnaby, there's Surrey, right? So there's North Vancouver. So when I say Vancouver, I'm not just talking about downtown. I'm talking about, yes, I am mentioning downtown, but all like the surrounding suburb metro cities that surround Vancouver also, right? But even in Vancouver, you see people down Stanley Park, right? They're jogging, riding their bikes, rollerblading, enjoying themselves, right? Stanley Park is huge. So there's that around Stanley Park, within Stanley Park, around Stanley Park, there's a trail. There's a bunch of trails throughout Vancouver, right? You go to North Vancouver, people doing the same thing. You got people, walking, hiking, riding their bikes, jogging. They got the trails in North Vancouver also, right? I'm forgetting some of my major neighborhoods of Vancouver. As a matter of fact, this is what I should do. I should have my iPad next to me while I'm talking to you guys, so I'm not giving out misinformation. So I have the names in front of me. But when I was in Vancouver, man, it just wasn't like one strip where people were exercising. It was all over. It was all over. And there's a lot of competition in Vancouver also, right? There's a lot of competition because Vancouver is like the Hollywood of Canada. If you don't know, that's where Lionsgate Films is named after that bridge that's in Vancouver, right? There's different recording studios over there also. I almost applied to attend a university. Hold on, what is that? Oh, my bad. I almost applied to attend a university in Vancouver. That's how serious I was about Van City. All right. I almost applied. This was back in like 2014. Right. Your boy was about to go to a university. I forget the name of the university, but I actually was thinking about attending a university in Vancouver. But what happened was, like, between the time of admission and the time that the semester would have started, for me, it was taking a little bit too long, and I had the travel bug, and I wanted to get up out of there. I know that's a dumb reason to not wait to attend a university, but that's what happened. Thailand was like, yeah, it just started, but if you apply right now, we'll get you into a class right now. Thailand didn't care, but this ain't about Thailand. All right. Vancouver is just one of those cities, like, man, if you're not coming with it, with your shape, with your beauty, then it's almost like Cali. You know, uh an Alberta 7 is a Vancouver 3, all right? An Alberta 8 is a Vancouver 3 or Vancouver 4. You see what I'm saying? When women in Vancouver leave Vancouver, they get a lot of attention all throughout Canada, right? Especially in the Midwest areas. Maybe not Calgary, but definitely in like Edmonton, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, definitely Manitoba. But in Vancouver, like cute just ain't good enough in Vancouver. Panama is one of the places where the women are fine, but um, their bodies, the curves, just the natural hourglass shapes that the women have, the ass. You're going to see more ass in Panama than you are going to see in Vancouver. You're going to see a lot more exotic mixtures in both cities, but mainly in Panama, because I already broke down in a previous live stream why the women in Panama look so good, right? Look at how many different people from all over the Caribbean, all over Latin America, and even in Spain and Europe came down to work on that canal. Right? Look how many people worked on the canal. And I went to the museum. It was like, no, there was intense mixed breeding because of the canal project. So you just have a mixture of a lot of people, but it's more so on the melanated side in Panama. Whereas like in Vancouver, it's more the European, Asian side that you're gonna see. You're still gonna see some exotic women, is what we like to say. We like to use that word because the word exotic sounds exotic, right? You're still gonna see some exotic looking women, but you mainly gonna see more white women and Asian women in in Vancouver. You're gonna see some women from Hong Kong, Taiwan, Korea, Japan, uh, you name it. You're gonna see them in Vancouver. You're gonna see some Europeans straight from Europe in Vancouver, right? Then you're gonna see Europeans with a background, but they were born and raised in Canada, no accent. You're gonna see a handful of Latinas. You'll see a handful of different mixtures but mainly you're gonna see whites and Asians over there. So if that's your thing, definitely, whatever your preference is, visit uh, whichever country you want. Now, Vancouver is more expensive than Panama, but it all depends on how what you're doing and how you living it up in both cities, right? You can spend the same amount of money as you would in Vancouver and Panama, depending on how you play it, right? But you can, the cheaper version of experiencing Panama is going to be a lot cheaper than what you experience in your version of a cheaper vacation in Vancouver, if that makes sense. All right. Another thing is um, the food, right? I would say the food overall, in my opinion, the food is better in Panama. You're gonna get some better plates in Panama. Vancouver, to get good food, you're gonna have to spend a lot more money. Right? You're gonna have to spend a lot more money. Whenever I go to Vancouver, it's not to say that you can't get a good plate somewhere. It's just that you're gonna really spend some money finding good food over there. Now, the cheapest option that, like, I would say the best plate you're gonna get at the cheapest option is the Chinese food along the strip of the beach. I talked about the name of that restaurant in a previous video. That's probably the best food you're gonna get in Vancouver at a fairly decent price. Um, where would I spend a vacation at for an entire week? I would rather do it in Vancouver. If I just want to have fun and explore and take pictures, I'd rather do it in Vancouver than at Panama. Panama is cool, but Panama is like, if you want to take pictures and explore and, you know, seek out the touristy areas, then, you know, you could do all that within 2 or 3 days. Vancouver, there's a lot to see. Um, there's a lot of different pockets of the city to hang out in. Vancouver is one of those places where, yeah, I've been to Stanley Park before, but I never get tired of going to Stanley Park. You see what I'm saying? Even the um the aquarium, right? As many times as I've been to the aquarium's actually in Stanley Park, right? I always stop by over there, even though it's one of the smallest aquariums I've ever been to. I mean, it's nice on the inside. You know, I've seen it all. It's still one of those places where I stop by every single time I go back to Vancouver, right? Um, in Van City, you'll see that more than likely you're gonna run into women that are a little bit more independent than women in Panama City. So in Van City, uh, women that I've met, the majority of them, they were all living by themselves or living with a roommate. Y'all know Canada's a land of the roommates, but it was only a handful of women I met that were living with their parents, right? And if they were living with their parents, even, you know, if they were too lazy to come to my stop off at my hotel, then we just weren't meeting up. Like, nah, I don't want to meet up with you. You stay with your parents. And you're not trying to come out of hotel, so whatever. Um, but women that did have their own place, whether it was a roommate or by themselves, either they invited me over or they came over my spot. So it's a little bit of more independence there, where it's like you run into a lot of women that live with their family in Panama. You understand? Like, the wages are different. Um, the struggle's a little bit different in Panama. They'll still come by the hotel, but it's like every time you come to Panama City, you're going to have to get a room, right? It's not like in Vancouver where, okay, I'm going there, I'm booking a room, I want to explore. I want to see what the city looks like. I want to see what the ladies look like, how they treat brothers or whatnot. And okay, I met somebody. Now, every time I come to the city, I always have to book a hotel. No, more than likely you're probably gonna meet somebody that got their own. And if y'all kick it off and you have a good relationship with this person, you're building with this person, and they're not really worried about a long distance relationship, then every time you come to the city, you go stay with her. Panama City, um, from swiping online to what I've seen in person, a lot of women was just living with their families. All right, not all, but more than what you run into in Vancouver. All right. Um, Vancouver, like I mentioned before, the money is definitely different. It's very expensive, right? But how women are put together, um, you meet more women that are in shape, more women that are active. There's a lot more competition, right? But if you're more into melanoid women, then lean more towards Panama, right? Um, Panama, as they said, is, I did a live stream talking about this. It's one of the more obese countries in the world. I think on the top 20 chart, I think it was like 11, 12. I don't think Canada was on that chart, but uh, definitely not Vancouver. I mean, it's big. This is North America. The Americas, you're gonna see big people all over the place, but you don't see as many. Um, you don't see as many big women in Vancouver as you would in like a city like Houston, or But even in Panama, there was big people over there, but there was just as many women that was in shape, right? So even though that chart that said that about Panama City, uh, the source was legit. I didn't feel like they must be talking about those big women. They must be talking about, Cologne or Pueblo Nuevo or something like that. When I was in the city, um, there was a lot of fine women that was in shape in Panama City. So I have to put an asterisk by that. All right. If I had to, if somebody gave me a free ticket, free money, right, to spend time in a place I would think I would have the most fun at, I had to pick between Panama and Vancouver. I'll probably pick Vancouver. Um, Vancouver, I'm gonna have a little bit more fun, you know, during the day, at night, you know, different neighborhoods in the downtown area, different pockets. Vancouver's like, it's a little bit more liberal. It's more on the liberal side. Uh, so Panama is a tad bit more conservative. You hear that when the women talk, when you hear the women complaining in Panama. All the men are too machismo and this, that, and the third. Okay, it's a tad bit more conservative, right? They stick to the code. The men are giving them hell sticking to the code in Panama, whereas like in Vancouver, a little bit more liberal. You're gonna run into a lot more feminism, right? Um, I ran into that when I was in Van City. It doesn't mean that um, women are just anti men. I just say, you know, um, but yeah, you're gonna run into that feminist mindset. You'll be laying up with somebody. It ain't like, they hate you as a man. It ain't like they're not trying to get it in. It's just that, their views are kind of skewed. It's like, oh, okay. All right. You, you just want me for that good jug. That's it. And that's all I'm here for, and I'm fine with that. Salute to 3D. All right, I'm breaking down game between Vancouver and Panama. All right. Nightlife. I can't really give a good assessment on like nightlife. All right. I haven't been a Vancouver nightlife scene. Have I ever been to a club? I've never been. My brother's been to a club in Vancouver. He told me about it. Um, he got some rich friends over in Vancouver. He had a good time, but he kind of ruined it because I guess he was drinking a little bit too much and threw up on the couches. So they end up kicking him out. But my brother goofy like that anyways. So but my brother likes Vancouver. He's like, man, I gotta get back up to Vancouver. All right. He just hasn't been to Panama yet. So, I'm curious to hear about his assessment of Panama. But he likes Vancouver. He likes Vancouver also. The women, one thing I noticed about Van City, all right, between Van City and Panama City, of course, there's more Asian women in Van City, but the Asian women in Van City, I don't know, from my assessment, from my experience, they were a tad bit more friendly, than the women you would meet straight from like, going to Thailand, going to Taiwan, going to Japan, going to China, right? I'm not saying they're not bound by the same rules, but they were a little bit more friendlier. They were a little bit more nicer, right? I told you guys about a woman who was Taiwanese, I should say, not Thailand, but Taiwanese. Um, they were from Taiwan, and there were two sisters living together, and they lived not too far from the beach, and very nice. They're shy, but still wanted to take things to the next level type of attitude. The sister was real cute and nice. Then she introduced me to like their group of friends that they hung out with. We all went to like a karaoke bar / restaurant. It's like a big table. I'm the only black person there. There's a bunch of Taiwanese people. They're all men and women, all trying to get to know me, and I'm getting to know them. We're all hanging out with each other. And this is around about August. So that's when the Honda Civic of Lights show was going on. So every year they have the the fireworks show going off, right? And so I'm like, you know, I'm like, damn, like they really showed me a good time. Nobody else did that when I was in China. I didn't have that experience like that in China. I didn't have that experience like that in Taiwan. I didn't have that experience like that in Thailand. Remember, in Thailand, I did everything in Thailand, right? I've been a tourist. I've been a student going to a university. When I was at the university, they didn't make me feel welcome when I was there. The other students, now the staff, because they're older, but the students there, they're adults too. But I didn't feel welcome. I felt like all the foreigners felt like foreigners, like an outcast. All right. But when I was in Vancouver and I went on a date with the Taiwanese chick, we had a really good time. And we hung out the whole week. And I was hanging out with her. We did our thing as adults do, but I hung out with the sisters and her. I hung out with they friends group. We kept in touch after that. That was a very dope experience when I was in Vancouver. You know, one thing about Vancouver is people call it Hongcouver, right? And they say that because of the amount of Asian people that are there from Hong Kong that are there. But I came across a comedian on TikTok the other day. He was saying how uh what did he say? He said he was like, I think he was in Montreal doing stand up. Some Asian guy. He was like, yeah, Montreal is kind of like Paris, but not really, right? People say that a lot about different cities. Toronto is kind of like not New York, but not really. Vancouver is kind of like Hong Kong, but not really. And he's absolutely right. That's the best way to kind of explain Hong Kong to you. Vancouver is kind of like Hong Kong, but not really. And Hong Kong is one of my favorite cities, countries, provinces, whatever you want to call it, that I've ever been to. Right? It's almost the same feeling, but not really. Um, but the feeling that I get in Hong Kong, Vancouver, just being there, you don't. It's not the same experience as Panama. Panama, it's like it's cool, it's nice. The women look good, right? But uh, as far as like, if I had to go back to one, like pick a vacation where you're going to have fun, I would have to choose Vancouver. Now I didn't hit up any clubs, the nightlife, anything like that in Panama. So, I'm gonna have to go back and really give another assessment on the nightlife. But, you know, I didn't really like it was so easy talking to the women in Vancouver that I didn't really have to I didn't even have to go out to no club at night. Like I was like, I already ran into something during the day. Same thing with Panama. It's like shit. Well, actually, no, I take that back. I went to the cafe photo spot. I went to cafe photos, so I take that back. Right, that came in clutch. Hold on. Let me see what y'all are saying. So the nightlife is better in Vancouver. To be honest, I wouldn't even know. I didn't even go out. I think Mufasa, if Mufasa's watching, he'll be able to give you a better assessment because Mufasa went out to the nightlife. Like I've been outside at night walking around in Vancouver, but I never hit the clubs like that in Vancouver. Right. I never hit the clubs like that. And I've been there many times. It's just like I never went to the club. Never been to Vancouver, but I bet the snow bunnies are premium. Oh, absolutely. Right. And that's the difference between Vancouver and Panama. You're gonna run into some snow where, they got their shit together. Right. I mean, it's expensive. So when I say shit together, they probably have a roommate or something. But it's like you can come over without, you know. No, I stay with my family. Right. And then on top of that, you don't run into a bunch of baby mamas in Vancouver. I'm not saying you won't run into a baby mama in Vancouver. You don't run into a bunch of baby mamas in Vancouver. Like Panama, if you say, hey, no, I'm not dealing with nobody who got kids, good luck. Right? Good luck. It's not impossible. It's just like you'll connect with somebody fine. They 21, 22, and they got like 2 or 3 kids in Panama. I was like, man, why the fuck do y'all have so many kids? Why the fuck y'all slow down? Vancouver, nah. Nah, I mean, it's not saying you won't run into anybody with kids, but you're not running into a bunch of baby mamas like that. 26 years old, she fine. She it's not unusual to run into somebody fine in their mid to late 20s and they don't have any kids. Right, that's the difference. So, you know, so yeah, I would definitely say that. Um, white girls like black men in Van City. Um, from my experience, yeah. From my experience, there's not a lot of brothers in Vancouver. There's not a lot of black people in general in Vancouver. Um, First off, a lot of people are kind of turned off or turned away from Vancouver because at first I used to give people hell who lived in Seattle, like, man, why the fuck y'all don't go to Vancouver? It's right there. But if you drive there, they kind of make it difficult. I don't know. I hear a lot of people in Canada saying how. Well, I hear a lot of people that go to Vancouver say like how strict they are at the border with Americans. I've heard that a lot. I've heard a lot of people saying like, man, they give Americans hell at the border, when going to Vancouver and shit like that. And I have not experienced that. So it turns a lot of people off. And a lot of times they don't want that crowd that comes from Seattle. Right. They don't want some of the riffraff that come from Seattle. So they're very judgmental. You go up to the border, um, they'll be like, hold on, where do you think you going? Yeah, I'm going across the border. You got your music blasting. It smell like weed in here. You know, you, you got on J's. Nah, turn your ass around. Nah, go back to Seattle. Go back to Tacoma. You know what I'm saying? Go. No, we not letting you in here. Some people are like that. Some of them are kind of like that in at that border. Um, Most of the time when I went to Vancouver, I always flew within Canada. Right. Now, flying from America to Vancouver, I've never done that. I've been to Vancouver many times. I've always flown from like Calgary or Edmonton to Vancouver. So nobody's like checking you on some bullshit like that and within Canada. Now, there was only one time I went from Seattle to Vancouver by bus. I didn't get no hell at the border because I had a social insurance number. It's kind of the same as a social security number, but in Canada they call it a social insurance number. So our social security number in America, it comes on that blue piece of paper. It's not even on a laminated card. Canada, they give you a laminated card. It's red and white. It's red, white, and black. And they call it a social insurance number. I showed a social insurance number. They was like, okay, well, welcome back to Canada, because they thought I was Canadian. No, I was on a work permit at the time. All right. So they didn't give me no problems when I went across the border into Canada like that. But see, now I don't have that social insurance number, so I don't know how they would treat me flying up there. But I hear they give a lot of people shit. All right. But from my experience, I have a really good time with women up there. You meet different types of women, but um, there's not a lot of brothers up there. And in general, a lot of the women in Canada, they chase after the football players. Um, some of the white women I dealt with, they like brothers. They friends like brothers. Uh, there was one woman that I was with. Right, she was kind of like, she has sex appeal, a lot of sex appeal, but she wasn't a dime. right? She definitely wasn't a dime. Like you could be a 5 and have a lot of sex appeal, right? You could be cute with no sex appeal, right? It's beauty's in the eye of the beholder. This woman was kind of just average, but had a lot of sex appeal. But her friend was a solid 8, a solid 8 or 9. I give her a 9. Her friend was a 9, her roommate, right? And they lived by Metro Town. If y'all know what Metro Town is that mall, right? It's not in the major downtown area of Vancouver. You got to go way out east on a train line to get to Metro Town. All right, Metro Town Mall. They used to live by Metro Town Mall in these nice ass condos. And she was telling me about her roommate and everything, but we had the whole spot to ourselves until later on when her friend came back from the rigs. I'm like, man, if her friend on the rigs and she probably raggedy looking all, whatever. Man, her friend came back. She was fine as hell and she was choosing, right? But see, her friend liked brothers, but she got tired of just always going down to Seattle out of her way to meet brothers. And the chick I had, she used to go down to Seattle to get with brothers and stuff like that. But it was just kind of, women they don't like traveling for men. You know, they'll move to expand their opportunities, right? They'll move to expand their options, but they won't move. Most women they're not like traveling back and forth for a man. You see what I'm saying? Some women would do that if the city is just dead. Like there's a city called Regina, Saskatchewan. There were a handful of women that would drive all the way to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Right? They'll drive all the way to the Twin Cities to fuck with brothers when they have free time. That's a little different. But women just like, yeah, I'm gonna go down here and just see if I could catch a man. Someone, especially in America, is just like, I ain't traveling for no man. They got to come to me. So after a while, Canadian women, they'll travel for a man like that. And after a while, they get tired of doing that. And they're just like, hey, I'll take whatever I could get in this area, even if it's a football player. So the chick I was with, her ex was a football player. So they like brothers, but they heavily criticize the culture. So we come from a flossing, if you got it, show it type of, you know, type of culture in America. And so she would tell me about him, but she would tell me, like, look at that. Wow. Why would he have a Louis Vuitton bag? It's just so flashy. And then look, he got a Louis Vuitton bag, it got money in it. It's just, yeah, look at this. This is just so distasteful. I'm just like, okay. But that's Canada for you. Canada, if you go up there talking about money or flossing or whatever, it's a major turnoff to women. I already knew the culture, but you step over in this realm of dealing with brothers, especially from America, that's just how it go. So, um, her friend came around, and her friend used to go to Seattle to visit brothers or to meet up with brothers. She got tired of doing that, so there was some African dude in Vancouver that had been like chasing after her. I still remember this dude's name because I'm like, nah, that's not his real name. That is not his real name, right? I guess that's his American name or his Western name, but I'm like, why the fuck would he pick that name, right? So, um, he was chasing her after a long time, and then finally, I guess she gave in. She was just like, all right, fine, I'll give him a chance. So they were dating, but you could tell, like, if a woman's just like, fine, I'll give him a chance, then it's like, she don't really want him like that. So when she saw me, she was like, "Oh damn!" Like damn, like you the type of guy I've been trying to chase in Seattle, and you up here, right? Her eyes was bucking when she saw me up in her spot, right? So when she came off the rigs, and she was fine too. I guess she was an NCSO, not really doing too much labor. But anyways, she looked very good. She wanted to hang out and shit like that. So, I hung out with her. But uh damn, I went on a long I went on a bunch of side missions when when I should have just gave you a direct answer. But you get what I'm trying to say. Um and some of them women, who's that one chick? Taylor Russell? Taylor Russell. Y'all know the actress Taylor Russell? There's a lot of chicks that look like her in Vancouver. That half breed, that mixed breed with the curly hair, the light skin with the proper vernacular. I wouldn't say there's a lot, but there's quite a bit of her. There's quite a bit of women like her in Vancouver that are fine. And I remember there was a chick that kind of looked like Taylor Russell that hollered at me, and she worked at like Champs or whatever. Because I went in there real quick before I went to the airport to leave. I'm like, should I get some shoes before I leave? It was a chick working there, but that chick was like trying to holler at me. So I was like, okay. So I got the number, and we kept in touch, and we visited each other again. But she was like a Taylor Russell looking chick. I was like, damn. She was like, damn, what's up with you? I don't see guys out here that look like you normally. I was just like, oh, okay, damn. All right. Ozzy said, I'm very interested in Vancouver. It seems like a hidden gem it is a hidden gem, right? And here's the thing, man. Like, a lot of guys give, well, you know what? Let me not take it there. Let me just say this. I was probably the first Western black man to come to YouTube talking about Vancouver. Mind you, I'm not the first black man to go to Vancouver. No, I'm the first one to come to YouTube talking about the women in Vancouver, right? The problem is at the time when I started talking about them, nobody gave a shit. So I just deleted the videos, right? But I came to YouTube in 2013 talking about the women in Vancouver and nobody cared. So I just like, yeah, whatever. So I deleted the videos. I even deleted that channel. But I've been going to Vancouver since 2009. All right. I've been going to Vancouver since 2009. So, you know, I'm pretty sure things have changed. But I go every couple of years. It's been long overdue. It's long overdue. All right. Now, between Vancouver and Toronto, from my experience, um, let me add in Toronto with that. Who's going to approach you? Women, there is a city that cold approaches you, right? Now, the women in Vancouver, they were easy to talk to, easy to get along. But did a lot of those women cold approach me? Not a lot. There was like one or two that cold approached me over the years that I've been going there, right? Curious about me, wanted to get to know me, but, you know, was it more than, let's say, Panama? Nah, Panama women, like they're easy to talk to. You got to approach them, right? But Toronto was on a totally different scale. There was a lot of women cold approaching me in Toronto, Like, you know, uh, throwing out heavy choosing signals. Toronto really surprised me. I was like, damn, I didn't think I would get that much love in Toronto. I was like, damn, all right. But it is a hidden gem that a lot of people don't know about, a lot of people don't visit, but they give them brothers hell for going over there. You know, it's one of those places where I would say don't set your location over there unless you plan on booking a flight to visit Vancouver. You know what I'm saying? So like if you in America right now, don't set your location over there right now unless you plan on going over there within the week. Right. If you like, let me just see what they're saying, and then I'll plan a vacation over there within 6 months. No, no. I would say nowadays, don't ever do that. Don't ever set your location somewhere unless you plan on going someplace within the week. All right. Uh, how do we move to Vancouver? I would say this: don't, don't. All right, don't. That's been my biggest mistake in traveling. Don't. You see a place you like, the first thing you want to do is move there. And then, you know, you end up moving there, you're like, hey man, this ain't what I thought it was. Don't. Make your money in America. You probably gonna make the most in America and just go over there to visit. You're gonna get more cooperation if you visit. The problem is when brothers move someplace and you're not really looked at as you don't have that glow about you. You don't have that glow about you when you move somewhere. You like, man, you look like a resident. The way you dressed and everything, you look like a resident. You look real like a bomb. All right. So yeah, I think it was Killarney. I used to mess. All right, so now I got the iPad charged up. Hold on. Yeah, it was Killarney. I used to mess with a chick in Killarney. Yeah, I remember that. All right. So Vancouver International Airport, it's north of a town called Richmond, right? I used to mess with a chick in Richmond also. But this chick lived with her parents. But see, the thing is the chick in Richmond I used to mess with, her basement was she had like a basement suite underneath her parents' house. Right. So it was separate. So I used to go down there and mess around and, handle my business and things. But it was like that was the only chick that, you know, I gave the time of day to that was living with her parents. There was another chick that lived with her parents in Coquitlam, but I had to work around with that. Burnaby, I messed with a chick in Burnaby. There's a lot of fine women in Vancouver. It's just one of those places you want to be at because there's so much competition. Like a pretty woman, somebody that's pretty, somebody that's pretty. It's like the guys ain't even really giving her the time of day, right? Like the chick I was messing with, I kind of felt like a lame. Like the chick that I said she was like a 5 or 6. Well, I give her a 5, but she did have a gang of sex appeal. Like she had body for real. But the problem was, like I almost felt lame because, um, she was a freak. So when I came to visit her as a friend. But the dudes on her phone, she could not get them to fuck her. So while I was staying over there, just using her spot as uh like a hotel, like she had dudes in her phone listed as like um you know okay, this is scaffold right here. This like, I guess she had them listed as their jobs, and none of them she couldn't get none of them to fuck her. And I remember she cried in front of me like twice. I'm like, man, what the hell? So it's competition is real. And I told y'all about this girl before, how she was from Victoria, but she was like in an 11-year relationship with a dude, and she was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna move to Vancouver," which is like a ferry ride away, right? She got rid of her dude, thinking she could get better going to the city, and uh, and then when she got to the city just chewed her up and spit her out. Right? She cried because like, damn, I left an 11-year relationship to come over here thinking I could get better, and she couldn't. Right? And women, man, when they become single, they turn into savages. Right? They turn into savages. All right. So the seawall, man, that's whole Stanley Park, the Stanley Park seawall, the Vancouver seawall. So if you look on a map of Vancouver, I wish I had it in front of me. Damn, I should have had this is what I really should have set up I really should have set my computer up for this. You look at Stanley Park, it's like one big, like the land of Stanley Park look bigger than Vancouver downtown, right? It actually looks bigger than downtown Vegas. I think it is, right? That whole area is nothing but people that's working out. So the Stanley Park seawall, uh, the totem poles, uh, the port, the Lost Lagoon, the aquarium. There's like a little lake within the park, Prospect Point Lookout, Lionsgate Bridge, Duke Beach, Sawash Rock, Hollow Trees, Third Beach, Ferguson Point. Man, it's nothing but people that's exercising, working out, right? Then when they take a break, they take a sea bus from Vancouver all the way up to North Vancouver to what's that shit called? The Quarry Market. I think it's called the Quarry. And that's where they have like fresh food, like a fresh salad bar, wild caught fish, right? There's still some spots in Vancouver I haven't seen yet. I haven't been to Cypress Mountain, and that's where they had the Olympics. I haven't been to Cypress Mountain. I haven't been to what is this called? They got the Bowen Lookout, right? See, a lot of people, they got a bunch of pictures with them in they workout clothes, running, jogging over there. What is this called? Gross Mountain? Gross Mountain Peak. They got a gondola. That looked fun. A hike. See, they got hiking areas all throughout Vancouver. So nah, like if you want to talk about on some Kevin Samuel shit, like if a chick is like a dress size 8 or above, like motherfuckers ain't calling her. Like that one chick I told you about, she had huge titties, but she was kind of like a 5. But she had big titties, she was curvy, but guys was like leaving her messages on red. And then I felt a certain kind of way, like, damn, if all these guys are shitting on her, what the fuck am I doing? So I went out and got me a Taiwanese chick when I was uh in uh in Vancouver. All right. Granville Island. Hold on. I think I went to the wrong. Yeah, Granville Island Public Market. Is this it? No, it ain't. My bad. So Granville Island Public Market, man, it's like the summertime. It's a lot of people outside, especially when it's sunny. On the sunny days, right? On the sunny days in Vancouver, there's a lot of people outside soaking in the sun, walking the dog, exercising. Like I'm looking at this view, there's no fat people. There's thousands of people outside. I mean, there's elderly women, that I give them a pass. Ain't nobody trying to. Right? I'm talking about the women that's like 50 and younger. I don't see obese women in this like little view right here. That's the thing, man. There's a lot to see. Kitsilano Beach. There's a lot to see where it's like you should not be bored in Vancouver. You should not be bored in Vancouver. The problem is, man, you know, but Panama, yeah, Panama is like, man, once you've been a Costco Viejo and Panama Viejo, right? Multi Plaza, Cinto Costera. You like, damn, you felt like you seen everything. So you only laser focusing on the holes. Like you just a dog after that. You just like, hey man, where the bitches at? That's it. Whereas like Vancouver, it'll distract you. Vancouver, you're just like, oh damn, I want to see this. I want to see that. I want to go whale watching. I want to go to Victoria. I want to go here. I want to go there. I want to go. Damn, I didn't get to see that side of the park. I didn't go to Science World. I didn't go to the aquarium. I didn't go to Capilano Suspension Bridge. I didn't go to the beach. I didn't go here. I want to take a plane ride around. Yeah, I want to go to that spa that's on the top of the mountain. You get so distracted and then you just so happen to meet women along the way, right? Whereas like in Panama, you just like, oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, all right. All this shit is nice. Don't get me wrong, but you like, okay, damn, there's nowhere to go. So you just right. So let's say you trying to spend a week in Panama. By day two, let's say you get there Sunday, you got to leave next Sunday. I would say by Tuesday, right? You like Tuesday or Wednesday. You like, okay, I didn't seen everything. I don't like from Wednesday to Sunday. It's just 100% of your time is just looking for where the holes at. That's it. You just laser focusing on the holes. Can you tell us about the outskirts of Vancouver, Burnaby, Richmond, Surrey, Coquitlam? We're visiting, or better to just stick to Vancouver? Surrey, I would say stay away from Surrey. They kind of consider that their version of the hood or whatever. I'm not saying you can't pull no holes in Surrey. I definitely I was laid up with a woman in Surrey. I was only laid up with her for a few hours and then I left and spent the rest of my time in Vancouver. Um, them other towns you just named, like Vancouver, everybody wants to stay in Vancouver. Burnaby, Richmond, Coquitlam, you're going to you're going out that way because you're going to meet women from over there who live over there. You see what I'm saying? So you're going to go there because Vancouver itself is very expensive. You see what I'm saying? Let's say you meet a woman in Vancouver, she'll more than likely tell you like, "Nah, I live in Richmond, or I live in Burnaby, or I live in Coquitlam." Right? So you're going to go to these places anyways because the women live over there. Vancouver is one of those places where you'll meet a cute woman with a bag. You know, Panama probably. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just you know, Vancouver is one of those places like you just more than likely gonna run into somebody with a bag, a cute woman with a bag. But you know, are you going to like Kerrisdale? Right, there's an area called Kerrisdale. I mess around with a chick from over there, but are you just gonna go over there just to be hanging out over there? No. But will you end up in a place like that? Yeah, because more than likely you're gonna meet a chick that live over there. And she gonna tell you to come by. All right. Now it seems to me that Vancouver, the best time to go is when like summertime, when they got that Caribbean festival. That's a good time to go. Um Mufasa went over there during that time. And, y'all heard from Mufasa before. Mufasa's in his 50s, but he was pulling women in their 20s. So that age gap doesn't really it's not a problem at all. Just make sure you in shape. Um that's what I've been getting ready for the summertime. And I think, I wanted to go back to I wanted to go back to Panama, but I think I need to go to Vancouver. I think it's been long overdue for me to go to Vancouver, man. But I get it. Vancouver, between Vancouver and Panama City, you like, damn, I want to live in Vancouver. I've always wanted to live in Vancouver. Right. I remember I was looking at that stadium where the BC Lions play at. There was a condo right next to the stadium that had a really nice view that I wanted. And I wanted to go over there and live by the stadium. But I was like, and it wasn't that much. Surprisingly, it wasn't that expensive. But I was trying to go there to right. See, I had every opportunity to live in Vancouver, but I didn't. When I worked on the rigs, I didn't have to live in Edmonton. I could have lived in Vancouver. I could have just took flights back and forth. And then when I got off the rigs, I could have found something in Vancouver, but I didn't. Um, Now I have the opportunity to relocate closer to Vancouver. I could live in Seattle if I want to. Right now I could live. I got enough juice to where I could live in Seattle right now if I want to. But you know, but I like what I do right now. And it requires me to stay in Texas. It requires me to stay in Texas. But and now, from my experience in life, would I like live in Vancouver? No, I would not live in. No, no, no. If I was rich, I would kick it in Vancouver for a couple of months just to see how it feels. But other than that, like if I'm not rich enough where I could retire right now, then no, I don't see myself just putting in that much effort to relocate to Vancouver for what, right? Um, but no, there's a lot of cute women. You just gonna run into a bit of feminism over there. Like that's the only issue, really. Cute women running the feminism, and then you might end up going. But every time I ever went to Vancouver, I would always go. The times that I went, it was always sunny. The weather was always nice. Even though when you look at the statistics of when the sun actually come out, it don't really come out that much. So I always ended up there when the weather was real nice. But Panama, see right now, Panama, they're in their wet season. So, if you're trying to make it to nice weather, Panama now in the summertime, because it's basically summer, it's not a good time to go to Panama right now, right? Uh, the best, like now, is the best time to go is in Vancouver, right? But see, the element that Panama has that Vancouver don't have is a little bit of poverty in Panama. So you get them women, they kind of struggling, right? Them bad bitches that come up from Colombia or Venezuela, they're just like, oh, I'm doing my best, but they fine as hell. They're like, hold on, what you trying to do? What you need $100? You need $100? Come on, like fine as hell, $100. You know, you beating up cakes inside of your hotel room, right? Y'all smacking cheeks when you inside of that hotel room, $100, right? Well, I got two kids, I'm a struggling mother, but she fine as hell. I was like, okay, uh, I give you 75, right? Vancouver, you know, if you got them strong, independent, I don't need a man type, in Vancouver a little bit, just a little bit. You got that in Vancouver. um, Texas sucks. Man, let me get you. Hold on, I'm putting your ass in timeout. Finish. Yeah, hold on. I'm putting your ass in timeout. You ain't finna talk about my great state like that. What is you talking about? What is you talking about? Man, I've been in Seattle. It was a bunch of man. It's a bunch of they on all kind of drugs up there in Seattle. Motherfuckers getting tail implants up their ass so that they could be a leopard. Doing all kind of weird shit. They keep it weird in Seattle. Man, don't you talk down on the great state of Texas? Fuck is you talking about? It sucks. No, I had to put you in timeout. That triggered me. That triggered me. The food better, the women are thicker. That's one thing about it. It ain't hard to pull a bitch in Texas. It's just that she's American. That's the only problem. You slip up and get a chick pregnant in Texas, it's like, or anywhere in America, it's like, oh, okay. Now I could just collect and run you through the ringer. You know, that's the only thing. But it ain't that shit. Especially San Antonio. Man, if you can't pull a bitch in San Antonio, there's something wrong with you. You are wheelchair bound if you can't pull a bitch and say that's probably your problem. I don't know where you are. You probably went to Dallas, but shit, like there's nothing to complain about. There shouldn't be anything to complain about if you in Texas. It ain't that I can't pull in Texas. It's just I don't want to pull. In Texas. And if you in Dallas, go to Oklahoma. That's where the hoes at, right? Your location should be in Oklahoma City. If you in Houston, your location, it should be like Cypress or Katy. And if they ain't good enough for you, your location should be San Antonio, right? San Antonio, Austin, like have it located in San Antonio, then put the expand the mileage to like 100, 150. So then you'll get the San Antonio, Austin area, right? That's what you'll get that area over there, right? But if you in Texas, you shouldn't have nothing to complain about. You probably over there in motherfucking Lubbock. You moved to Lubbock, Texas. Yeah, no, it's get your ass up out of here. Anyways, but yeah, Burnaby, Richmond, Surrey, Coquitlam, like you're going to end up in these places anyways because you're going to meet women and they're going to tell you that they live over there. So you'll end up going there over there anyway. You don't have to hang out over there, right? Just stick to the park, North Vancouver. Just stick to the downtown area, right? Get off at what's that station called? Waterfront Station, right? Hang out at the Olympic Cauldron, Canada Place, right? Um, what is this? Ooh, Joe Fortes Seafood and Chop House. This look good. Hold on, wait a minute. You see, damn, I shouldn't have been lazy and I should have set up the computer for you guys. This food look good. Oh my God. This food look good. I'm gonna save this. So if you type in, hold on, type in, let me type it in for you. Joe Fortes Seafood and Chop. Hold on. I have not been, I just hold on, Joe Fortes Seafood. Hey, chat room. Hold on, type this in. Go to Google and type that in for Vancouver. Type that in. You see, you hang out in the area like that, eat at places like this, right? Um, you're gonna meet you. You hang out in an area like that, and really see when I was going to Vancouver, y'all got it made now. When I was going to Vancouver, there was no there was no Uber when I was going to Vancouver. And if there was, it was probably on a small scale, but there was no Uber at the time when I was going to Vancouver. So I got out on either I was taking taxis or I got out on foot and I was walking, right? Because I don't think there's a train. There's buses and shit, but there wasn't like a train. The train stopped at Waterfront Station, right? The train went to Waterfront Station. Waterfront Station is by Canada Place. So I used to go to like the Lost Lagoon. I used to walk from Waterfront Station all the way to the Lost Lagoon in Stanley Park. That far, I used to just get to walk in. Damn, damn. So I'm telling you, just hang out in that area, you're gonna find something. You're gonna find something. Like the women, they'll. I'm seeing a lot of nice restaurants that I'm gonna try out. I'm seeing a lot of dope like Japanese restaurants that I want to try out. They got hot pot restaurants. Well, Red Umbrella Cafe. That look like a good brunch spot. I'm gonna save this. But see, you're gonna need some money. Noah's Cafe, it look good, but you gonna. So how much money do you need? I always say, whenever you go someplace, you need to bring 10,000 with you. Oh, that was a rule of thumb. One of my homies told me that. He's like, man, the rule of thumb is 10,000. You ready to travel when you got 10 grand in the bank, right? Sunset Beach Park. Okay, the water and the sand look kind of dingy, right? Right. See, every time I went to Vancouver, I never needed to go to a club. It was just I'd always meet women online or I'd meet women in person downtown Vancouver, and it's always active and alive. Like I remember at one time, I'm kicking it with this chick. I was kicking it with that Taiwanese chick. We was walking around at night, and like there was like some dance crew practicing. It was like two black dudes, like some Asians, and like a white dude here and there. They was just like break dancing, practicing, and they had the music going, and we was just like enjoying ourselves. Like you see that type of shit. That's how active Vancouver is. It's just a live, active city. It don't get too hot. It's like, man, this stream is making me miss. It's making me miss Vancouver. It's making me miss Vancouver. Does anybody got any more questions? I got the link up here, right? I got the link. If you want to call in, then do so. I got the link. Shut. I don't know if I could pin it to the top. No, I can't. See, the phone is different. You can't even share photos on the phone. You can't even share the screen on the phone. I heard about Cardero's restaurant. So they got some decent plates. I take that back. You just gonna have to spend some money if you want to eat some good plates. You want a good plate in Canada, you got to spend some money. Gastown. Um, Stay away from Chinatown. Uh, a lot of people, you don't have to go to Chinatown to meet Asian women. They're all over the place. Chinatown that's over by East Hastings Street, and that's where you're gonna see the dope things. All right, you're gonna see people on that sugar, right? You're gonna see people on that water, over there in East Hastings and Chinatown. Just stay away from over there. Stick to like Granville Street. You know, now I've seen a lot of nice restaurants. But see, all right, the difference is like, Vancouver, you're gonna see a lot more slim bodies, pretty faces, right? Panama, you're gonna see a lot more big asses. That's what you're gonna see. You're gonna see a lot of ass in Panama, right? If you want a child, you're like, yeah, see, the thing about it is, while old boy was hating on Texas, Texas is like a great location in between Panama and Vancouver because the flight distance is about the same, right? The distance from Houston to Vancouver City, it's like 3.5, 4 hours. Same thing with Panama City. So you right there in the middle. So you in a perfect spot. You're not too far from one place to the other. Vancouver, you go there, you try to find somebody, you trying to find a cute chick with a bag. That should be your mission when you go to Vancouver. Find a cute woman with a bag over there, right? Find a cute woman that's going, you know, you gotta be aggressive in the bedroom with a Vancouver chick, right? I mean, with all women, but find you a chick with a bag in Vancouver, eat ass, talk shit to her in the bedroom, so that you pushing her, you driving her Range Rover throughout the day after you drop her off at work. You know what I'm saying? You driving her McLaren after you done dropped her off at work, right? You done dropped off, you, you driving her 7 Series after you done dropped her off at work, right? I've done that several times in Canada, driving her Lexus while you drop her off at work. They like that shit. I don't know. That's a you see, that's a turn off for men. That's a turn off for me. Like it's kind of a turn on when you got an appreciative woman. Notice how I put the emphasis on appreciative. When you actually have an appreciative woman and then she's down for you and she's shown that she's down for you, and then you bought her a car and she's driving that around. That's a loyal, appreciative woman. It's a turn on when you buy a car for her, but that ain't no turn on. I would get a heart attack if a bitch was driving my truck. If a bitch driving my truck, no, that's a turn off for me. But for whatever reason, that's a turn on for women. I got that dig driving my car. Ooh, he probably, he'd have probably backed up into a sign, side swiped another car, scratching it up. He probably put other bitches in the car. She probably spying on you. These cars now, they got so much technology. They bitch give you her car to drive around while she at work, and she's spying on you through the lens of her car. There's a camera in the car in the dash, spying to see if you pulling other bitches in her car. So, oh man, 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 man. But yeah, that's the difference. I'm not saying women don't have the bag in Panama. It's just you're going. You're gonna meet women, and you're going to meet women and all right. So the difference between who can you have like a long-term, long-distance relationship with? The easiest answer it's the Vancouver women. It's the Vancouver Canadian women. They love traveling, especially you see. This is the issue that I had with Nasty Time. Nasty Time, he said, "Oh, Texas sucks." That's why I had to put him on timeout. You in the perfect spot. You live in the perfect state to meet a woman with the bag in Vancouver, a cute woman with the bag that will spend that money to travel you, because they love traveling down to America, right? And then so they go through customs. Like, who do you know down here? Well, I know him. He lives at this address. Okay, cool, right? They know somebody. They got an address. They coming down to see you, especially in the wintertime. Wintertime, they love coming down south to see you. You know what I'm saying? Canadian women, they're the ones that, they'll spend money to go see their man that's in America, right? They make the effort. They make more of an effort than American women. American women, them bitches won't even. travel across town to come see you. Now you come to me. I ain't no weak woman. That's a weakness. I look weak if I drive over there to come see you. You know what the fuck? Canadian woman, it's like, yeah, man, fuck all these guys over here. They lame, they corny. You know, I got my man down there in Texas. You know, I'm booking my flight. Fuck y'all. You in a perfect spot. See, like if you was in Seattle, it's like that ain't warm enough for them. You know, Chicago, it's just that ain't really warm enough for them. But Texas, it's like that's like a vacation, kind of, right? Everything different. So look here, like this is see a Panamanian woman, she ain't gonna do that. She don't. Most of the time, you meet a Panamanian woman, she can't do that. She ain't got the passport to come see you. At best, the closest she could come through is like Mexico, and then she gonna ask you to pay for that flight. Panamanian women, they good for like, fucking and impregnating. You know, it's like you can have an arrange. You can make an arrangement with a Panamanian woman. You know, hey, look, I want a kid. You don't have kids. I don't have kids. Let's just meet up, fuck, have kids, and I got the money. I take care of you and all that other shit. You could do that with a Panamanian woman, a Dominican woman. That's what I think. That's what Dominican. Uh, that's probably what Dominican stands for. In Spanish, it probably just means dick in Spanish because there's a bunch of single mothers over in the Dominican Republic, right? You can literally just be like, "Hey, look, I'm gonna come through next month, impregnate you, and just I'll send you money. Like I just want to have a kid. That's okay. Like that's what they say. DR, Panama, the incubators, right? Vancouver is more so like it's a lifestyle. You know, when you go there, you cannot half-ass when you go to Vancouver. You can't. You got to dress your best. You got to dress your best, smell your best, because you're not gonna meet no woman that's like. And I'm not saying there's not trash over there. There's definitely a lot of trash, but it's competitive trash over there. It's competitive trash. I remember being on that metro. I'm on the train, and I'm going across what's that park with the tree stump, and then there's cars like on top of each other on top of that big tree stump. That area, going downtown to Waterfront Station. I'm on a train. I'm looking around. I'm like, damn, in this one train car, it is nothing but bad bitches on this train car, right? So there's definitely a lot of competition. They're not broke like that. But if they like you, they'll travel to come see you. That's the good thing about a Canadian woman. They'll make the effort to come see you, right? You're not getting that out of a Panamanian woman. They can't. They can't actually. Then they'll have to apply for a visa and all that. And then the wages are a little bit different. It's just then it's kind of like you tell them, all right, I'll take care of it. Just look up the information for the visa. Every day you hit them up like, hey, did you look up the information? Did you look up the information? Did you look up the information? No, no, no. I ain't looked it up. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, I was like, why the fuck are we talking then? Why? You're not gonna look up the information. Why are we speaking right now? Right? It's like just lazy. You see, Canadian women, they already got the passport, right? They got the passport to travel into America. They got the money to travel to come see you. Hell, some of these women, they like, look, they might think like nasty time. Like, look, I have a good time when I go down there to see you, but I like Vancouver more. Instead of me going down there, why don't I just book your flight for you to come up here? Okay. I've had that happen before. My first time going to Vancouver was a chick who booked my flight for me to come see her in Vancouver. So it's like, so it's it's still two good places to have in your arsenal. Two good places to have in your arsenal. Is Vancouver your favorite city in Canada? Yes, it is. Absolutely, 110%. Now, is it the place where you know, as far as the women, right? Uh, you know, I had way more cooperation in Toronto than I did in Vancouver. I'll tell you that. Toronto, it's like bitches had to stop me. They had to talk to me. They were like, "Hold on, no, hold on. Where the fuck you from?" Like they were aggressive in Toronto, trying to get to know me, wanting to see what I was up to, trying to get my number. The women, they was coming up to me in Toronto, left and right. I was like, "Oh shit." But as far as like the best of both worlds, I just didn't like being in Toronto. I didn't like the city of Toronto, but the women, they was choosing heavy. Now, the best of both worlds is Vancouver. So yes, Vancouver is one of my favorite cities in the world, period. Yes, Canadians love to travel and leave their cold country. Yeah. Yeah. So you find somebody that like you, they just like, hey, where you at? I'll pull up. You're not gonna get a Latina to do that. Would you bring a Panamanian Dominican chica back to the States? Dominican, no. Actually, no. No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. You stay right there. Stay right there. Just wait till I get back. You know. Yeah, no, I'm not bringing nobody to the States. They'll ruin your fucking life. That's what I need. Women who put in the effort. Yeah, yeah, Canadian women, if they like you, they put in the effort. Remember, like my experience is no different than a lot of guys who had experiences with Canadian women. Like when I tell you, like women used to book my flights or, giving me the keys to their car or just trying to move me in, trying to get my paperwork and my citizenship. Like that's the average man's that's the average man's uh uh experience when they deal with Canadian women. I told you guys about the bodybuilder, AJ Ellison. AJ, he's married to a woman in Calgary right now. They built the house together. They got their own gym in the house. They built their house from the ground up, right? Um, AJ, he was living in Kansas City at the time, and his wife, current wife now, was in his DMs on Instagram. She was in his DMs. Yeah, like when Facebook was first started, I had all my pictures, I had my Facebook set up. Women was in my DMs. From Canada, women were in my DMs. That's how I met the Vancouver chick. The Vancouver chick, she used to live in Saskatchewan, and she saw online. Okay, damn. Uh, my homegirl, her younger sister, is like taking pictures with this dude, right? They over there living it up in Saskatchewan, and they like, who's he? Where's he from? Y'all together? Y'all with him? Oh no, he's the homie. Okay. She didn't care if those were her childhood friends. She was just like, no, I want him. If y'all not claiming him, then shit. White women, they're very competitive over their men. That's the thing. White women, they're very competitive. Like, yeah, okay, Susan, I know you sucked him up, but Susan, like, Susan, are y'all together? Oh, we had a good time. Becky will come through and swoop a man up away from Susan and never speak to her again. If there's a problem, if there's an issue, never speak to her again. Like, fuck a friendship, Susan. This is my man, right? You see, white women, they have more, no matter how quote unquote feminist they are or they act, right? They have a more realistic views, about men than black women. See, black women, they take feminism too seriously. White women are like, hold on now, we we never said we don't need a man, right? we 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 just want to get paid. You know what I'm saying? We just need you to stop whooping our ass as often as y'all do. That's all we asking. We're asking you to keep the ass whoopings to a minimum and, let us get money. Like, let us vote. Damn. Like, come on now. Like, let us vote. Don't treat us like the Negroes over here. That was white feminism. Black women, they think feminism, they're like, yeah, fuck a man. To hell with men. We don't need them for shit. White women just like, oh, they fall back like Homer Simpson in the bushes when black women take it too far. like they're like, nah, I don't believe all that. Right. So the white women, and when you saw AJ, she was in his DMs and she booked flights to go see him in Kansas City. Then he booked flights to go to Canada. And then eventually he's just like, you know what? I like Calgary is way safer. I'm gonna go to Calgary. And so I had the same experience. When you deal with Canadian women, you have the same experience. They're going to make an effort to come see you if they like you. But the downside is just, there comes a point in time in a relationship where it's just like, hey, this ain't how, like, wait a minute. Like, it's just, things become very different. Like, the way we do things in America, it's not necessarily exactly the same way they do things in Canada. And then you guys start to clash. But if you can get past that, you're good. You're good. Yeah, women, they put in the effort. They put in the effort in Canada. Yeah. Yeah, black women, they literally be like, fuck you, I don't need you. they Black women, they take that, it's so masculine, they take it, oh, I don't want to look bad. Look, man, like, if you let the greatest thing walk out your life because you don't want to look bad, then you'll be a single woman for the rest of your life. If you care too much about looking bad in front of somebody, then you ain't prepared to live out there. You're not prepared to be secured and to live in comfort and with security with a man for the rest of your life. You know, you, yeah, yeah. So most women, they just, some of the things that women in Canada did for me to an American woman, it's like, oh no, that would make me look bad doing all that for him. It's just like, oh, okay, whatever. Right. Vancouver. I'm gonna show up to Vancouver this summer. I'm gonna show up, and I'm not gonna give you guys a date. I'm gonna just show up and just start recording. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just start recording. I lost like 30 pounds, so I'm ready for Vancouver. You know, I am ready. Been in the gym. You know, I was in the gym yesterday. I'm about to hit the gym after this live stream. Get some coffee, work on shoulders, work on chest and shoulders. Cause I don't see. I only need the gym. Like I pay a day pass over here. I only need the gym for the day pass when I work on back and legs. That's it. That's it. And depending on what exercises I do, you really, because you could do some dumbbell squats if you don't have like a gym. Like if you just have like a hotel or apartment gym, you could do like, dumbbell squats or whatever. But I like, you know, I like doing isolation movements, just, you know, well, I like, doing like leg presses and stuff like that. And the hotel doesn't have that. The hotel, I can do a full shoulder and chest workout, right? I can't do like, like a full back workout. I mean, I can't do rows. Bent over rows, yeah, but I like seated rows, And then when I do leg extension, leg curls, I like being in the gym for that, you know. But the hotel, so we gonna get it in with shoulder and chest right after this live stream, with some cardio. Canada must be nice in the summer, especially standing. Man, let me tell you, I got a lot of pictures from. I got a lot of pictures. Stanley Park is very, very nice because they got the seawalls. So if you look on Google right now at Stanley Park, right, I'm telling you, Stanley Park is as big as like Vancouver, like Van City. It's probably bigger than Van City, right? So the outer edge, the outline of Stanley Park, it's the seawall. So you can walk all the way around that seawall. You see people riding their bikes, jogging, running, walking, right around that seawall. It's a very active city. People are serious about staying in shape. You got to. But anyways, any more questions, comments, concerns? Any any questions, comments? Should I drop the link one more time? I'm giving you a chance. I don't know what did I not cover. So I'm giving you guys a chance. All right. They go to link right there. I'm giving you guys a chance. What questions do you have? I think I talked more about Vancouver than I did Panama. But as far as the bodies, Panama. The faces, there's some cute faces. There's definitely very pretty women in Panama. Don't get me wrong, but I have to say, you know, the shape with the cute faces, I'd probably have to lean more towards Vancouver as far as pretty, right? There's sexy in Panama, but there's pretty and cute in Vancouver, right? Um, you've been going to Vancouver since 2009. Damn, yeah, yeah. Shit, that was my first time going there. It was either November or December of 2009 when I first went to Vancouver. Yeah, yeah. Um, which place has more to do? Vancouver, hands down. Vancouver, there's way more to do in Vancouver. Way more to do. You could go to Whistler, Whistler, the ski resort is like north of Vancouver. There's hiking. There's the mall's okay. Shopping's okay in Vancouver. You can go to the beach. They got the Honda City of Lights with a Honda Civic, a fireworks show that lasts for a week in August. You can walk up on a movie set. I've walked on several movie sets. Um, so I walked across the Deadpool 1 movie set. I was there for that. And Deadpool 2 was back in Vancouver. That's when the stunt double, unfortunately, there was a stunt double, like something went wrong on a motorcycle and she ended up losing her life on set. Rest in peace to her. Um, this was for Deadpool 2. Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2 was shot in Vancouver. There's a lot of shows and movies that were shot in Vancouver and all throughout Canada. One of my favorite shows, funny as hell, called Blue Mountain State. That was shot in Canada. Um, what's that one TV show that Taylor Russell was in? Lost in Space. That was shot in Vancouver, well, outside of Vancouver. So you might run across like a TV set or a movie set. Um, there's a lot to do, a lot to see. You know, man, I'm telling you, there's way more to do in Vancouver. Way more to do. Panama, you could do everything within like 2 days. And you'd be like, okay. So next time I go to Panama, it's like you just laser focused in on just women. That's it. Right. Um, it's a lot to do and a lot to see in Vancouver. All right. Anything else? Anything else? Is there anything else? What else? As far as like raising kids, as far as like dealing with a woman with a little bit of paper, like that's it's night and day. You know, Panamanian women, Latin women, Latinas. It's like you know they do what they can, but it's like they can't. You know, it's like if you end up having a kid with one of them, you don't ever have to worry about somebody dragging you through court. But the Vancouver woman is like, you know, It's not take, 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 take. It's like, oh, okay, you want to see your kid? Like, yeah, I want him to come down here. Let me book. No, don't worry, I'll book a flight for him to come down there. Like that. That's how parenting. The door is always open. I know for a fact in Canada. You know, they don't try to take your kids away from you, and Panama. I don't know how it is, but it's just it's a lot of single mothers down there that don't know where the father's at. It's just they kind of make piss poor decisions whenever dealing with dudes down there. It's like I don't know what it's like. It just seems like you can make arrangements. Like having kids doesn't mean anything to them in Panama. Well, it kind of means something in Vancouver. It's just like, hold on, let me slow down. Like, I just can't be a mother to just anybody out here. Is just, whereas like, it's not a big deal to be a single mother in Panama. Appreciate the intel, man. No problem. I might make a part two, but for now, both of them are great. It's just way more to do in Vancouver, but the bodies are way better. It's cheaper in Panama, and the bodies look way nicer, right? And it's the bodies look way nicer, and no, in Vancouver, some people Vancouver might intimidate them. So, it seemed like they might have more confidence in Panama. You know, Panama is just like the more approachable, your money's right. Some guys they get intimidated by, when they go to these first world countries with these upscale cities. Some guys they get intimidated like they don't belong. So that's okay. Any recommendation as far as attire goes for Vancouver? What type of styles fit best? Well, what's your style? What is your style? Don't go there wearing no damn suit. It's like I don't. I think people they got a little bit too excited when they was listening to Kevin Samuels. I like Kevin Samuels, but you got a little bit too excited listening to him, and you know, there were a few things I agreed and disagreed with Kevin Samuels. Don't go nowhere showing up in no damn suit, right? You could dress nice, so you don't have to wear a suit. Hell, on his day to day regular attire, motherfucking Kevin Samuels wasn't. He was wearing casual. He dressed fashionably without wearing suits. Like whenever he live streamed or took pictures out in the public, he was not wearing a suit. He was not wearing suits. So don't wear no damn suit. That's my only advice. Don't wear a damn. Yeah, just if you're classy casual, cool, but don't wear a suit. Don't wear a suit. Wear something. Dress casually, classy casually at night, right? When you're not walking that far of a distance. But during the day, wear something that wear something you feel comfortable in when dressing outside, walking several miles, right? Don't wear anything too heavy that you're gonna sweat your outfit out. Right? Don't be wearing no Chelsea boot outside in Vancouver. Like, you know, wear something comfortably, like some jogging shoes, or, you know, something you can walk in for miles. Wear that. I get a lot of compliments. I wear Rugrat shirts, these Nickelodeon Rugrat shirts from Amazon. So I might wear like cargo pants or, you know, um, if you want to wear like windbreakers or whatever, because we're talking about the park, walking around downtown, like you're bouncing around to many different places, but you know, wear comfortable shoes you can walk miles in, maybe windbreakers or some jogging shorts or the like some Under Armour underneath the shorts or whatever, you know, depending on how active you're getting, that's probably something who's just going out just to jog. But if not, wear something comfortable, windbreakers, cargos. Um, and man, like I've been wearing uh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the internet's going in and out, so that's a sign to tell me to just end the stream. So you guys got any more questions, leave it in the comment section below. I'll answer them later on, maybe in a part 2. All right. So you guys take care. Be safe. I'm over them out. Peace.